Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stu and the Nunn, episode 403, or 403, if you talk to Army phonetics. And as you can see, I am back. We are back. Been gone. We've been AWOL for a few weeks. And we're back, Rob and I. Here to join you. Rob, good to see you, buddy. Sorry about being AWOL.
No, it's good. It's good. You've been spending some time with some family. You were down in Florida for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I've been in Florida, South Carolina, and everywhere in between on the road. Had the dog with us. So had 80 pounds, probably a little bit lighter now after being in Florida. I need to take her and have her weighed. I think she lost a couple, but yeah, so that was different. Yeah.
That's a small dog.
Yeah. Compared to yours, but you know.
Mine's 145.
Yeah. Well, mine's an Old English Bulldog. She was 81 pounds. She's dark brown, solid brown. She has never left the state of New York, and she covered a lot of states over the last couple of weeks.
Well, and I'm sure New York is a lot cooler than say Florida or South Carolina.
Actually, no. We've had some heat waves that were coming through here, and there were a couple of days where it was hotter here, ambient, than we were in Florida. But Florida just has the humidity, and yes. We were knocking heat index of 100 to 112. But she did get the Daytona Beach. She got to see the beach for the first time, and she is not a beach dog. She could not care less about having water hit her feet. She wanted nothing to do with that.
You've never had her around a creek or a pond or anything?
No, I mean, she's had baths and stuff like that. We have a little kiddie pool, but she just walks in and mostly uses as a big water bowl. But my son's dog, which is also an OEB, he lives down there, loved it. Just let the waves hit him, go over him, everything. She's like, I'm going to use my 80 pounds and I'm pulling backwards. And so it was, but you know, she got to experience it. Okay, you check the block, but yes, it's good to be back. And it's been a long few weeks for sure.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a heat wave coming next week. It's going to be triple digits here in Arkansas. And that's the actual temperature, not the heat index. So, and it's pretty humid in Arkansas. And in the mornings, we're looking at 80% humidity on a normal morning. So,
yep. I don't remember. I don't miss living there. I remember that time. People think you're far inland and there's humidity all day.
It's all the lakes and vegetation. So.
Yeah. Well, you got that. You don't have a ton of corn humidity, but you got some corn humidity too.
Yeah.
You will not yet, but that's coming. That's coming late. Fall. Right now, the stalks are still going. Right, they're.
Yeah, we planted some corn this year, and we picked a couple of pieces, but they didn't do really well. So it's our first year planting corn. Yeah, I don't think we planted enough. So
the big national weather sites will show that. They'll show the corn humidity index once it gets about September. You'll start seeing the rise in temperatures where any large corn, states that have large corn populations.
So like Nebraska just kind of glows red.
Yeah. Arkansas.
Yeah.
Nebraska, upstate New York, all Iowa. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, well, hey, we've had a lot going on. As always, we just give it day by day. We're going to be off well before 9 o'clock tonight Eastern when President Trump is doing a primetime address. He is apparently he's going to come on and talk a little bit about Iran, of course, which he does it every time the press get in front of him. You know, he just like his first term, he never shies away, and he just, you know, the schedule goes out the window, and he'll sit there and talk as long as he wants and answer questions. He doesn't pop lids at 2 in the afternoon and take a nap. And apparently, Rob, he's bringing the receipts. He apparently is bringing evidence of documented 2020 election fraud.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that it's proof that China actually, influenced or was able to access certain equipment within that election. My only concerns about that is, and not to say that they're going to do this, but if anybody who studied history, you look at things like this, and then you make an accusation. Usually the next thing that follows is war, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you look at those types of things, when you talk about elections or even attacking our allies, those are the types of things that usually kick things off. And so I think you got to tread lightly around, unless you've got the actual receipts, which it sounds like he does from reports. But you always have to be a little cautious about things like that.
Yeah, I mean, they've said that before, right? Remember they had the Epstein stuff. They claimed they had it, and Pam Bondi said she had it, and they had these influencers come up, and they
binders,
and it was just the same stuff everyone knew. So I mean, a couple times they've overshot, I would say. I hope this isn't it, but yeah, a couple of times they've done that, and so obviously it makes people skeptical. Like, oh, here we go again.
Sure.
A bunch of empty promises, and they're not going to deliver. But I mean, you knock everyone off at 9 o'clock at night. It sounds like maybe you're going to bring something tangible. But hey, it's President Trump, and he knows how to work the media. So
sure. Well, I mean, one thing you can't deny is the Americans are feeling a little bit of the heat from what's going on in Iran. But China is really feeling the heat. China gets 40% of their oil out of that strait. And when that thing is shut down, when that thing is not passing oil back and forth, China is suffering from that. And so are their allies like Cuba. We hear about the blockades of Cuba and stuff like that. But China is definitely the one suffering from what's going on in Iran more than anybody. And I think that's, a lot of people may be skeptical of that, but I think that's a definite positive as well, because China was definitely on path to supplant the United States as, the world currency and the world leader. And anything that we can do to stem that, short of war, I think is a good thing.
Yeah, it's funny though. You meant feeling the heat. I think not feeling as much heat as Iran's feeling in the videos that I've seen. But who else is feeling heat? A topic we had not talked about beforehand, but I should bring it up so everyone knows I'm in the northern studio. Is the heat, really the smoke and the smell coming out of Canada right now? We are being ravaged with wildfire smoke coming out of Canada. It sounds like several of the representatives, congresspeople from in New York and the border states are raising hell with Canada to do more. It is, I'm telling you, I have friends up in upper Wisconsin and that area, from there all the way to Boston. My son is traveling in Boston right now. I have another son in Long Island. They're saying it's terrible there, but I mean, I walked out this morning, even last night we got home. I mean, the whole sky is just yellow orange. This morning it just smelled like burnt, you can smell the burning. And I have a big, beautiful black truck. It just got little yellow specks all over from ash. And, it's not Mother Nature. It's not the volcano, which I've dealt with in Alaska. This is just, wildfires. But it is, all the kids' soccer games are being canceled. Everything, the air quality is really, really poor.
Well, up there where you're at, I mean, I'm sure Canada is the source, right? But I mean, half of the United States is on fire as well. When you look at
They are,
Idaho and
but this is
Colorado and stuff like
right.
that.
Yeah,
So
this is all coming out of Canada and just
yeah,
blowing right down from Wisconsin to Massachusetts. And it's, it goes up in the atmosphere and it's settling down on this side. So um yeah, it's pretty bad. So people that are in that area, I mean, if anyone that is, they probably already know it. Again, you can walk out. The only difference between this and Kabul or Chennai, India, is just well, for India, if both are, if there's the smell of maybe diesel and feces and humidity, and I would feel like I was in Afghanistan or India. Um, but the burning smell, so it brings it literally,
really.
it brings back some, it like you can, it takes you back a little bit, and then just everything being orangey yellow, just flat color, no color. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, they do controlled burns here, right? And so they
Right.
did some several months ago, the sky got pretty orange around those, but I'm sure it's nothing like what you guys are seeing now. So
Yeah, it's definitely pretty bad for sure. But yeah, so Canada, but get some water on it. Let's get this handled.
right.
You're affecting people with asthma and all kind of breathing issues for sure. So
Yeah.
all right, I hit on that. What you got, Rob?
So Iran, and so where we're at, we went from we had a peace deal to we don't have a peace deal, and I'm sure you saw Trump called called everyone in Iran. I think the word he used was scum. I think that's the word he used. And there was a reporter had asked him. He says, "Well, what changed?" And he said, "I got to know him." And I maybe had he done a little more research before. One of the things I was thinking about earlier today was, you know, Trump does very good dealing with Asian countries because there is an approach when dealing with whether it's China or Japan. There's an absolute show of force, show of authority type approach with those countries. I think it's different in the Middle East. The show of power, the show of force doesn't phase them. They've been in this kind of hot box for so long that they don't really care how much power you have, how much air power you have, how much sea power you have. They don't care. And I think you have to have a completely different approach to that section of the world. So,
Yeah, it's the values aren't there. Just like they don't value obviously, they don't value life. They don't value innocent life. Hell, they don't even value the infrastructure or the country that they live in. Right. This is what has been making the fight against terrorism has been so tough all these 20 plus years. Wars are typically against nation states that you know you blow up enough of their stuff till they give up. Right. You
right.
kill enough of their people till they give up. If you're fighting an enemy that doesn't care about human life and care about the country and infrastructure, you just have to kill them all. That's all you can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
They don't hit a threshold of going, okay, that's enough. We'll give up now and work it out. Which is, yes, Iran is a terroristic state, nation state at that, but they're still a nation state. And I give the president kudos. I think we're all well aware between Moabs and everything else we've done that we could literally do what people have talked about for years and make the entire country a parking lot. But he's done his best to try to stay away from infrastructure and stay away from things that are going to hurt the Iranian people because he knows essentially they're terrorists in charge and they don't care how bad the Iranian people get hurt. Right. So, luckily him or his advisors are saying, yeah, if you take out all the infrastructure and just make life that much harder on them, on top of what their countries, their leaders or people in charge of their country are doing to them, you're not, you're just going to make more enemies because you're just going to make life miserable for them.
Yeah.
So, obviously trying
So
to
what's
kill.
the solution? What's the solution to that?
It's twofold, and honestly, I think it's not different than one we have done many times in the past, and that is arm and train the insurgency and take out those in power until the insurgency can step up. That's a country of no Second Amendment. That is a country where people don't have guns. The everyday person does not have them. There's millions of Iranian people, I think, that want to stand up and put the government down and take over and establish a proper representative government. But they'll just get slaughtered like they've already been done in the last several months in the streets because they have no way to defend themselves, which is why they say, you You can say what you want about guns or about the AR-15 or whatever, but it is what differentiates subjects from citizens. And I think that's what you have to do, whether we do that through the Kurds, whether we do that through some intelligence agency, some other way, but we've got to get weapons and even some training into the hands of the people that are willing to stand up and defend and fight for the country. They just need a few tools to do it.
The problem, and I know the hesitation to do that is, we've got a long history of doing that, right? And it turns around that we always end up fighting back through the equipment that we've given over, right? We always end up fighting back against the people that we gave the weapons to and that took control of the company or the country. So anytime,
we did
someone
that
like
Iraq war, right? We armed Iraq.
Yeah.
Because what is it? The enemy, my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
Right. We armed Iraq to go against that. We armed Noriega and supported the Panamanians, and then had to take them out. We trained them in our schoolhouses.
Yeah.
Right. We did all that kind of stuff.
And we've also seen when you take out, whether it was Noriega or whether it was Gaddafi or, Saddam Hussein, it creates that vacuum, and something always fills that void. And it's not always a good thing what fills that void. So, you never quite know. You can put your thumb on the scale as much as you want, but you can't always control who's going to come in and take that place.
Yeah, so. It's a dangerous game we play when we walk that razor's edge, right? It's a double-edged sword. Right? Again, okay, we'll support these guys with this whatever, these people with weapons and training and enablers, maybe even some people calling in fire and aircraft, because right now their enemy is our enemy, right? But they're not loyal to us for that. We've seen this time. I mean, history has repeated itself, right? We worked along with the Russians to beat Nazi and Hitler, and then see where that turned out after that, right? So it is. You just got to be ready for the other shoe to drop, and like now we got to turn. So what's that old saying, right? A father tells her, I taught you everything you know, but I haven't taught you everything I know, right?
Yeah.
It's why we're selective on what foreign weapon sales we do, right? We'll sell some countries like Israel or whatever, maybe F-35s or F-22s or whatever, and I don't know which ones we've sold them, but we'll sell some Apaches, but we're not going to sell every ally or friend all those weapons.
Sure.
Because they're not true. That we've given a lot of M1s to Ukraine, but they're special ones for Ukraine.
Right.
I'm sure they don't have everything that our M1s have.
Well, and how long until, and it's probably already happened, everything that was left in Iraq, all of that equipment, I'm sure some of it has funneled into Iran, because Iraq is not going to, they didn't have the capability to fix anything that was broken or, make some of that stuff serviceable. But I'm sure Iran does.
Right. Oh, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's look what Cuba's done with cars in Cuba. I mean, they have all those beautiful 1950s and 60s Bel Airs and Chevys up there. They can't get those parts. They make them.
Yeah.
The reason why the AK is such a popular weapon is there's so many variants of it. Most variants out there today are not the true Kalashnikov Russian AK.
Right.
Those are almost a premium and worth a lot of money, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry's out there making freaking AKs. But it's easy to manufacture.
The only thing communism's ever made that worked.
Yeah, dude, I have a friend that stamped his own AK.
Oh, right? Wow.
He made his own here in the U.S. He stamped it and shaped it and did it and made his own AK. Right.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like an 80% lower or something. You drill something out. He took a flat piece of metal, shaped it.
Wow.
So I mean, you buy all the parts and pieces. It's not that difficult. So, for the Iranian people, they've got to have the tools. They don't have it. They're not the Chinese. They don't have enough cannon fodder to just march people, and people, they all don't want to die. They'll be willing to die for their country, but they want a chance at being able to have a life.
Well, thankfully for Iran, they're not too far removed. There's still people alive today in Iran. Probably not as many, but that remember what it was like in the 60s and the early 70s, when Iran was still more of a free country and was not this the regime that's in there now that's so extremist, right? So if you go back to the 60s and the 50s, 60s, and early 70s for Iran, they were a free country. They were, the women didn't have to wear burqas. That they could walk free, and the women could go to school. And then you know the terrorist regimes took over and started imposing Sharia law and things like that. So there's still people alive today that remember that, and I'm sure they want to go back to that.
Right. And you remember, wasn't that had the green movement? They almost stood up. They what was that? 10 plus years ago, they had the green movement, and the Iranian people tried to fight back, and they tried to overthrow, and they were brutally crushed.
Right.
They haven't. It was their parents and aunts and uncles and all of them that were, and siblings that were just slaughtered, and we saw that a few months ago.
Yeah.
So they know that's not a path to success. They just need a little bit of help, right?
Sure.
Just like we have done with, look, the Russians, the Afghanistan people have never been conquered. Absolutely not by Genghis Khan, not by anybody. But the Russians came the closest, and the only thing that kept that from happening is Congressman Charlie Wilson. You ever see Charlie Wilson's War and the stingers that we funneled to them? Had we not got them stingers, that country would have been conquered for the first time in history, and it would have been owned lock, stock, and barrel by the Russians. But it was only for the Stinger missiles that we funneled into the country that was able to turn the tide and force Russia to leave in disgrace. Sure. As we've seen since this Ukrainian war has been on, at least I've been educated all the years upbringing through the army of the Soviet threat and the Fold the Gap and NTC and playing cards with all the Russian vehicles on it and studying and memorizing the wheel gap on a T-72 from a T-55 and all that crap. That the Ukrainian war has taught me that they were a whole bunch of hot air, and they have some nukes, and they have a lot of people they're willing to sacrifice.
Sure.
Because their tactics and their technical capabilities as a military force absolutely suck.
Well, and they got the financial backing from China.
Right? They've got that. And again, there's another one. Had we not stepped in for Ukraine, they would have been a freaking footnote. They would have been stomped and walked over in a second. But we funneled them. We got weapons in there, and it was a known thing, right? So that's what the Iranian people need. They just need the ability to fight back. I think they have the will, and I think they have the manpower. But will and manpower isn't going to overcome a 7.62 39 in the forehead.
Right. Yeah. Well, and they've gotten a little bit better. The regime that's there has gotten a little bit better about hiding their leaders after the first couple of rounds of taking them out. So they've done a little bit better job of that.
As much as the Soviets have shown us that they really aren't a formidable fighting force, I think one thing we've shown the world is if we want you, we'll find you.
Sure.
Whether you're in your palace compound in Venezuela, surrounded by hundreds of people, or you're in your meeting room or your bedroom in a basement in a bunker in Iran, or you're a missing pilot that was shot down and you're in the mountains of Iran, right, and all you have is a heartbeat, and that was picked up and we got you.
Right.
Like, I think the one thing is you don't even have to be outside. If the U.S. government wants to see you and know where you're at, they got you anywhere around the globe. Right. Yep. I would imagine what we've done in Iran and Venezuela has given a lot of people second thought about how private and secretive they think they are.
Well, I mean, just Venezuela alone, before even Iran, sweeping in, grabbing up the leader of the country, getting him completely out without any casualties, no losses, nothing. Just scooping up the leader of a country like that, and he's back in the United States. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Him and his wife both.
Yes, that is super impressive.
We went into Pakistan in a compound that was built and had been operated where no one ever knew what was going on, apparently, and never been seen. We went in there, popped a dude, popped a brother, got everybody, snatched them, everything, right? That was the one. I mean, it was like, oh, yeah, it's our special operators. Well, it's all of our special operators, but, I think what Iran showed, whether, for Midnight Hammer or Venezuela showed, was that it is not just a SEAL team or a Delta force. When we come after, we want something, we truly make it a 360-degree battlefield. It is a true, we used to call back in the day, CALFEX, combined arms live fire exercise, except it ain't an exercise.
Yeah.
And now we've got cyber command, space command. We're shutting down telecommunication systems from space without even having to launch a missile or a bomb or anything. Like we can.
Well, that is definitely one of the areas this administration has gotten so much better at. So the first administration, he had a lot of people around him that did not have the best of intentions, and what we saw was leaks after leaks after leaks.
He didn't know who to trust. He picked a lot of generals, remember? And then was like, all he's doing is putting generals in place. He just thought, well, I don't know all the rest of these people, but if I pick these retired generals, they've served their whole career,
Yeah.
I truly believe, not that he asked me or told me, but I mean, you just look at the trend. He racked and stacked retired generals around, or some active generals around him, because he probably thought they probably have a good chance of being trustworthy.
And there were leaks all over the place. And Venezuela, the attacks in Iran, even the boats that they took out going into Venezuela, you're not hearing all the leaks that we had before. And that's credit to the Trump administration and Hegseth and the changes he's made.
Pete purged a lot of people, and of course the media jumped on it, and he's firing these people and firing these 2-stars and 3-stars and making, and now changing a 4-star command to a 3. They jumped all over Donahue. It's like, it's real simple. His command changed. He can hire at 4, or he can stay and get busted down to 3. Being a GO is not like any other rank. They can go up or down pretty easily, based on the needs of the government and the military.
Just ask Patton.
So I mean, he did a lot of that. He purged a lot of folks, even folks that he brought in with him originally. Thankfully no one was protected. Like, if you didn't trust them, if you don't think they had the best, and look at Midnight Hammer. I mean, everyone knew that was going to happen, and they even took the extra step of flying 2 B-2s another direction to throwing everyone off, and they still wrapped them other ones all around the globe. And pulled it off. And then look at Venezuela, right? Just they went in there with, had it not been for that Venezuelan security guard that they interviewed, the world would not have known some of the capabilities that we still don't know how or what it was, but some of the capabilities we exercised to immobilize and wipe out anyone in the way, come back with all of our folks. A pilot, CW5, got shot up, but look what he did and got. And snatch a dude and his wife out of his compound, out of his castle. It ain't like it's not a Jack Ryan movie. It isn't one of that. We come in, we're winning. We're coming in.
And at night. It's one thing operating during the day. People think you can see. It's a completely different thing when you're doing it at night.
That's why the 160 Night Stalkers, we own the night, right? That's when we do stuff.
100%.
And we normally do because we need the advantage. But as we saw when I ran after a couple months, we put the big uglies up there. B-52s, daytime. We weren't worried about it, right? The military knows how to execute. You just have to let them execute.
Yeah.
Right.
Unleash the dogs of war.
Yeah.
Just let them go.
And it doesn't mean there's still not civilian interaction, decision making in there. There has to be, because the president is ultimately accountable. So, yes, he's not down there telling a squad leader or a pilot or whatever what to do. But at the end of the day, if someone acts unprofessional or illegally or whatever, they're still going to look at the Secretary of Defense, the president, of them, because they put those people in that situation.
Yeah.
But they know, the military knows they have their back, including guys like the Blue Angels, who apparently just flew over the beach and everyone freaked out. And the White House just put up, Pete Hegseth just said that, the flyovers are continued till morale approves. Right. They're not worried about your woke hurt feelings.
Well, you said something that was very important, and that is they have their back. The military knows that this administration has their back. And that's not something that we saw under Biden. That's not something we saw under Obama. We saw that they did not have their back.
And honestly, we didn't see it under, I can tell you firsthand, under either one of the Bushes 100%, or even under, in some cases, not even Reagan in some cases, but that's going way back. Because look, they're civilians, they're presidents, they want to be elected, they're worried about their party, their party's worried about, having bad press. That is what's made President Trump so dangerous from the first administration of this one. Nobody owns him, and he owes nobody.
Yeah,
He doesn't owe anything to anybody, right? He doesn't. Nobody funded his campaign or did this or did that he has to do a favor for, right? This is why he has been dangerous to some that have agendas that want to make money off of the people in the government, and he's been
right.
dangerous for them to achieve that because he's doing what he feels is best for the country.
Yeah,
This country, I think, is going to be for an awakening. They've this country will have forgotten about how that works. I think after this administration, and maybe if Pete or JD or they win the next presidential election or whatever, but when it gets back to like politics as normal, when you don't have someone like President Trump in there, either in the background or in the foreground, then they're going to start seeing this is what the old good old boy system was like. There's going to be people scratching backs and helping each other out, and pork projects, and shuffling jobs, and it's going to be back to politics as normal, right?
yeah. I my biggest fear is the Democrat gets back, and the Democrats win the majority in the House and the Senate, and USAID all of a sudden gets restood up. Because if you look, since USAID was minimized, it's not gone completely, but the Democrat money has dried up. They are dead. They're actually in debt. They owe money, whereas Republicans are doing a great job on fundraising. The Democrat money is dried up, and I contribute that directly to USAID because I believe wholeheartedly they were funneling tax money back to themselves.
Oh,
And nobody can convince me otherwise.
I think that was done through every time there was congressional spending in a district or something by someone, right? Hey, I'll get you this money for you to do this defense contract or project or whatever, and put me on your board. I mean, how do these Congress people make $174,000 a year, come out with millions, and then and they haven't written, even if they have written a book, it ends up on the discount shelf anyways. But I mean, there's no explanation for it except that
it's those NGOs. So there's NGOs that they just write blank checks to that never do anything. And then you go look at the books on the NGO. It's like, hold on, you're supposed to be solving homeless. You haven't fixed any homelessness.
Let me tell you, all these in Minneapolis, they didn't come up with this grand scam bright idea. This is the way it's been happening. That just reared its ugly head. Thanks to a young man that went out there and did some investigative reporting, something reporters are meant to do and should be doing, except that they're given marching orders to support. That's how that got found out. Just like back in the day, things were found out because people would start asking hard questions that did not that weren't told how to act or believe or follow a party line. But that's the Somali funneling of money that was supposed to be going to autism and daycares and leering centers and all that stuff. That's just from the playbook. That's just how it got done. They just got caught. Anyways, we went on a lot of topics already.
Well, we talked about something, and I want to kind of back up and tie it into the next thing. And we talked about funding or providing support and weapons to people in Iran. And one of the people who's been a large supporter of that for quite a long time, like him or hate him, we lost this week, and that was Lindsey Graham. And that was kind of just all of a sudden, wasn't expected. He goes over to the Ukraine, he visits something over there, and the next thing you know, he's dead. So Lindsey Graham was always one of the first people to step up and say, absolutely, let's go arm this. I hadn't realized because I didn't really pay too much attention, but he was a long time service member in the Air Force in the JAG, and so he was a big military supporter. But he was always one of the first people that was ready to strike. So
yeah, he was kind of considered a war hawk in some degree. There were things I liked and didn't like about. I've been saying for a while, I felt like him, McConnell, and a couple of them needed to go. I figured they were been there too long. I learned a lot about him through this last week, right? There were a lot of things that I learned that I was pretty impressed and like, wow, I did not realize he never married. that he adopted his sister when he lost his parents 15 months apart when he's about 21, 22 years old. And he adopted his sister and raised him and he adopted her so she could have coverage and benefits because he was serving in the Air Force.
Right.
So she would be able to do that and go on to school and have a great, wonderful life. And never married, never, did any of that kind of stuff. So he could make sure he took care of her. And yeah, he's a JAG Air Force guy, right? He was not there kicking down doors and doing stuff, but he deployed.
Sure.
He served his country, which is, he raised his hand and went out there and was at risk like everyone else. There were things he said and did that I was not happy with. Like I say, I felt it was time he needed to be going, but at the same time, especially on the Senate or on the judiciary committees and on some of those things, he did not hold back. And there were some times, boy, he came with piss and vinegar, and he just freaking not putting on a show, but he just unleashed on people who were just completely wrong sitting in front of that committee.
Right.
But it was, I was in South Carolina when it happened. Like literally woke up that morning and was like, told my son when he came down, I'm like, hey, and he was like, you mean McConnell? I'm like, no, he's probably dead too. I don't know, but no, Lindsey Graham. And it was, I went to church that next day, and that was Saturday night, I think, when he passed. And on Sunday, I mean, it was the people were affected.
Sure.
There was a lot of sorrow. You only have 2 senators, and he was a pretty been there a while, popular one.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned McConnell, and as much as I understand not wanting to, give away too much information about what his status is, having watched McConnell over the last couple of years, watching him freeze up on television, watching him barely be able to speak, barely be able to walk, I think it's doing a disservice to his constituents for him to remain in that position. I know that puts the majority in the Senate at risk, but I think that's a disservice to this constitutional republic. We have a representative government, and he is not capable of doing that job and representing his constituents.
Well, I mean, it's the
same thing. To be removed.
There was a Democrat, right? Wasn't there one in Texas or somewhere that they found out she had been in an assisted living facility for 6 months?
Yeah.
Right. There was
Dianne Feinstein. They were wheeling her in, and her daughter was helping her vote.
Right. I mean, it was. I mean, the Democrats, honestly, they kind of set the precedence with Biden.
Sure.
But,
sure.
And then, had the other one. There was another guy too that was, I forget, a younger guy, Congress or something, I think a Democrat, but I could be wrong. That was out. It was depression for like a month or a couple months.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's, it is, they've set the precedence, but I agree. I mean, I know their whole reason of doing it is because I think, I don't know the Kentucky politics, but I think Massey would have a chance or whatever. And the Republicans don't want Massey to win and all that kind of stuff, but it is what it is. I mean, it doesn't make it right because it's done by other people. They should have been held to standard and accountable, but we haven't even seen this guy. I mean, they put up the picture, and I was like, oh, well, they put up a picture. Okay. And then people were like, they want to see a date, proof of life, like a date paper.
Yeah.
I think I saw a news blip that he did that or put up a picture, but somebody did a comparison of like the last time there was a picture of him like in office and that picture in the hospital bed. And I'm like, wow, that dude looks distinctly younger.
Right. Yeah.
Look like the same guy.
Well, and I mean, when you're in a hospital, I mean, you've probably been in the hospital before, and for these guys, you're drawn, right? I mean, even though they're pumping you full of fluids and pumping you full of those, you physically kind of change versus when you're not sitting in the hospital. You're not going to look like this nice person, like you just jumped up out of bed and just got done running a mile. Yeah. So, yeah,
he looked a lot younger. That's all I know. I'm giving a lot of attention. I mean, I know the governor, also Democrat, who's demanding some kind of proof in that. I don't blame him. I mean, it's if the guy can't perform, if he's not doing it, then yes, they need to declare it so or whatever. They can't be doing the weekend at Bernie's thing because guess what, Republicans, you're making yourself just as hypocrite as the Democrats are. And so we know they were propping up Biden, for lack of a better term. You're doing
well, and there's a lot of others in office currently today that should not be there. There's, I mean, I think last time I looked, I want to say there's 10 or 15, both the House and the Senate, over the age of 80. That's no, you don't need to be running the country and making decisions for this country. I mean, when I'm 80, you're not going to find me anywhere near making decisions for anything.
Right.
Probably won't even get to decide what I have for breakfast.
Yeah, or where you're going to poop, either one. But no, it's. I mean, I even saw there's a and I apologize for those that maybe are tuned in tighter to South Carolina politics, but there's a congressman, maybe a state rep or something, I don't know, that wants to run. I guess he ran last against for the primary and lost to Lindsay, but he's or maybe in the House, or he's either in the House or the State Assembly, and he himself is like 78 years old, and he wants to run for the seat. It's like, you've got. I mean, honestly, I think there's an age on like how old you can be to have a driver's license.
Right.
In some places, I think they need to look at having an age of, how old you can be to run for office. In America, the people in America, they're going to vote someone in. They want them to represent them for some period of time, maybe ideally the full term or whatever got elected for. You
Sure.
put someone in there that is like enjoy retirement, right?
Chuck Grassley is 92.
Yeah. Have you seen him? I've seen him on a committee. I've seen him try to talk.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Bernie Sanders is 84. Nancy Pelosi is 85. Maxine Waters is 87.
Yeah.
Those people just need to go. They need to be we need a cap.
I think you can be my buddy's a pilot. I have a couple of them, but I don't think you can be a commercial airline pilot past the age of 62. I think 62 is the max age, right? Yeah. Regardless of how good your eyes are or whatever. 62, they know decision-making abilities, things like that are going to start going downhill. You're going to be at a higher risk for whatever medical things, right? And granted, you may not, by casting one vote or doing whatever, have lives so directly in your palm of your hand like you would as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
But the same in the military. You can only be so old. You can only be, so many years in or be so old.
Yeah.
You can't even get into military if you're over, what is it, 39, I think? I don't know what the latest is. They change it when they have needs. But, you can't even come in when you're above a certain age. They need, vitality. They need energy. They need that kind of stuff. You're in Congress making decisions that, yes, you may not directly affect a life and death, but you're making or contributing decisions that could.
Sure. Yeah.
And
the average age in the House is 57.9. The average age in the Senate is 63.9.
Right. Both
as the average.
As an average sounds good. Okay, those are good. Those are decent. But there's a lot on the high end.
Yeah.
And
sure.
And it was 100 senators. So at 63, right, at 100, that tells you there's a lot in the 70, 80 market, 90 market, right? So if it was 50, you're like, oh, it's pretty even. It's probably half that are below the age of 50, half that are above the age of 50.
In the United States, people 80 plus make up 4 to 5% of the population. So these senators and members of the House that I just named, Pelosi, McConnell, they are representing they are a representation of 4% of the population. They're not representing the rest of the country. And majority of them, I would say probably 99% of them, are as disconnected with daily life in the United States as you can be. And that's Republican or Democrat. They're completely disconnected from reality. They've been in Washington so long, they know nothing about how the world operates, and they know only how that machine works.
Yeah, when they do 40, 50 years, right? I've been saying it here, I've been saying it in every circle I'm in. Term limits.
Yes.
Term limits. Yeah. Just make it even 3, across the board. 3 House, 3 Senate, pick which one, term limits. That's it. And you don't get to jump from one to the other. You do 2 in the Senate or 2 in the House, you get 1 in the Senate. Right. That's it. Right? Do what our founding fathers did. You go back to your life. You go back to your community. It's a service. And you don't get lifetime medical. And you don't get those lifetime back. You do one term and you can get voted out and you've got medical family for life. You get Obamacare or something, or get nothing. But what entitled
I say you throw them into the VA system and watch how quickly that gets fixed.
or throw them in the VA? Yep. Yeah. They can wait in line with everyone else.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
well, it's just like, the same concept of if if they don't pass a budget, well, we talked about this a while back, if they get no more continuing resolution, if they don't pass a budget, then they don't get paid. That's
Well,
their job. The Constitution says that is their job.
you should be ineligible for reelection if you are part of a Congress that cannot pass a budget.
There's not
100% of you should be ineligible for reelection.
The Constitution does not, it says here's what the responsibility of the government.
Yeah.
And here's things the states can't do. Everything else, 10th Amendment, right? Here's what the government can do. Here's what it can't do. Everything else is on them. Okay, it only has a few jobs on there the government has to do, right? Regulate commerce, establish,
Sure.
benefit of the country, protect the borders, so blah blah blah. So if you can't do that, if you can't establish a budget and operate the government, then you're not doing your job. Anywhere else, you get fired.
Sure.
If
Absolutely.
if your job is driving an 18-wheeler for Walmart, and you come up with excuse after excuse and whatever, and you go on short-term disability and do this, and if some reason why you can't drive, you're like you want to be home all the time, then you're going to get fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a load. You're like, now I'm going to the house. I'm not going to deliver this load to the next Walmart. You're not going to have a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Well,
right.
we talked about the Republicans, right? So let's talk about the status of the state of the Democrat Party, and the biggest one right now is the kind of the implosion and how quickly, when it came out on Graham Plattner and these kind of rape allegations against him, or not kind of, but rape allegations against him, how quickly the Democrats who are all supporting him turned around and said, yeah, no, we can't do this anymore. They ignored the posts. They ignored the Nazi tattoo. They ignored the rumors that he had raped before and stuff like that. And then now all of a sudden another one comes forward, and now they're like, nope, we can't do this. It was a pretty quick turnaround. And the sad thing is, they didn't turn on him because of what he did. They turned on him because the population looked at him, and then they knew he couldn't win. So they would rather back somebody that would win. And Sunny Hostin from The View even said it. If she was up there and could vote, she would hold her nose and vote for him because she is so anti-Republican, so anti-Trump. She will ignore every red flag of this guy and vote for him.
Well, they did. There was this guy they interviewed on the street up there, and he's like, "True blue or blue to true, or whatever." It was like it didn't matter. They were Democrat. They were voting for him.
Yeah.
They'll hold their nose, but they'll vote for him. And they was just piling. We knew it was coming. They just kept coming and kept piling on. Eventually, it was going to be just too much. They couldn't recover from.
Sure.
Now, who did they? I haven't kept up. I know it had happened before Monday, and he resigned. Are they putting someone else up? Do they put?
They have to. I think there was another candidate on that. Let me look real quick.
Oh, yeah. Usually, you're in the background. You can do that, but
yeah. So Troy Jackson, former Maine senator, Shinna Bellows, I think, is the one that I've heard. Secretary of State from Maine.
Okay.
I've heard that one. Neera Shah, that's another one, former Marine healthcare official. I've heard that name a lot. None of these others I've really heard of, but I think Shinna Bellows and Neera Shah are the two that they're really looking at. So I don't know if Troy Jackson has a chance of that or not. So
yeah, okay. I was just wondering. I mean, it's going to be an uphill battle. Not that Susan Collins is a true hard right Republican; she's pretty moderate down the middle. But,
right.
We'll. I guess we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously the Dems just wanted it. They thought that was their key to getting a majority in the Senate. But it seems like a lot of people in the Dems are really worried about.
Well, Graham is a symptom of what has infected the Democrat Party right now. We're seeing more and more people like him. We're seeing more anti-American. Even though he was in the military, he had that same, anti-establishment, anti-police, anti-government, I hate the U.S., and we're seeing that seep into the Democrat Party. we're seeing this Democrat Socialist Party taking over. And what surprises me is Pelosi's been quiet. Even Chuck Schumer has been pretty quiet. Even what's the other idiot over the House? Hakeem Jeffries. He's been pretty quiet about it. And there is
and it's not their base. The Democrat, know this is destroying it.
But it is. So if you look at what with the Seattle mayor and the governor of that state, you look at what happened in New York, and then now you're seeing this. This is a growing group within that party.
That's why Carville's going off and why different folks are. Because they know, look, they may get the media to walk lockstep, and they may get Hollywood and all that stuff, but they know even the Democrats across the country, their voting block of people are like, I'm not voting for they know socialist means communist.
Sure.
Now, they haven't all died off. They're well aware that Democrat socialist is a communist, and that's it.
Right.
And they know that is going to clean their clock. They're already facing enough against. Look, Trump has been. I think he's 99% of anyone he endorses has gotten won their primary. I think he's had like one or two he hasn't, but majority of them by far he's a kingmaker. If he picks them, they got it, and they know they're in trouble from that already. And now they have their party who's embracing an ideology that majority of the voting Democrats don't want anything to do with.
Yeah, but the younger population is definitely embracing it. You're seeing a lot of these kids that have been indoctrinated in colleges that are, I mean, how else would Mondami have gotten into that position? The other thing that they've done, and they have been accused, have been.
They did the analysis. Number one, you put Cuomo against him, which already killed a whole bunch of old people,
Sure.
and everyone doesn't want Cuomo. He's hated in New York as it is.
Yeah.
But they allowed non-U.S. citizens to vote, and I think they said, I don't remember, I had the number. I think they said upwards of 40 to 60% of the people that voted for Mondami had been in this country less than 4 years.
That's the next place I was going. When you look at places like Minnesota, when you look at places like California, when you look at places like New York that import these people in the thousands upon thousands, that one of the things that's been kind of big in the news is about the Haitians and the temporary residency. I don't understand what people don't understand about the word temporary. It is a temporary status. It doesn't mean permanent. It doesn't mean we put you here and you get to live here forever. It's in the freaking name, temporary status, and they need to go back.
Yep, absolutely.
So
but that removes their voting block, right? That's why
it does.
SAVE Act. That's why they don't want the SAVE Act. That's why they don't want voter ID, even though that got passed in Georgia and every Dem jumped up and said, it's going to, alienate and blacks and minorities can't vote. And I said, they've had a larger turnout at the midterm after that. And they had a larger turnout and not only turnout, but the percentage of black Americans in the Atlanta and Georgia area, a larger number of them voted both in the 22 and the 24 elections. Because and after they passed the voter ID law, remember they struck the baseball all-star game left and everyone was up against it, and this is Jim Crow 2.0, all that stuff. The results speak for themselves. Well,
and larger numbers of minorities are voting for Republican candidates. I mean, we saw that in both Trump elections, right? Not just the black community, but the Hispanic community as well are voting for Republican candidates. Yeah. So, but I think this temporary protection status, it's temporary. That's what it was. I think most of them Haitians have been here for 15 years or 18 years, I think is what it was. That's not temporary. They need to go back.
Right.
So,
all right, man. We are coming up on it. The president is going to be coming on. Everyone wants to see what receipts he brings to the table. So, I think we'll wrap this up.
Yeah. We hit on some good topics.
We did. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for tuning in on this Thursday night. And glad we got to make it back. And stay tuned. Watch our socials. Follow those. And, hit us up on the socials. We've got ideas or whatever. And we'll see you guys next week.